I have to fluff my hair even more to counteract your lack of hair. Alright. There you go.
We are live. What's up, everybody?
Are we?
How's
Did
it
it
going?
work? Yep, I can hear myself. There you go. Let's check the audio levels on the phone because we know that OBS and Skype don't like to talk together properly. So I'm going to say hello, Stuart, and then you're going to say something else.
I'm doing sign language. Okay. I don't know. I don't know sign language. Hi, Samuel. How's it going? He's checking our audio levels, so I thought I'd throw him for a bit of a loop, and I tend to do that once in a while. I guess it was loud or something. I can't hear you. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Bit loud. Move it. I lowered it, but it won't. Obviously, it's new to it. It's just move the microphone a bit away because we have to go lo-fi with this.
There we go.
Okay.
So welcome one and all. It's a strange, weird, new, scary galaxy because we have no neutral zone.
First time in Trek history until I went back in time that one time in Enterprise, as in for the Enterprise show. So, you know, it's been a while. Kind of used to it over neutral zone. I think everyone did.
You know, neutral zone is just a fancy name for demilitarized zone, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't. It sounds more neutral.
Yep. I think that's what they were going for. It was good. It's. I mean, it's clever. It doesn't make it exactly a modern parallel, but it really is a modern parallel. So it's a good, you know.
And yes, Kenny, fresh new haircut. We filmed this morning, and I had haven't had a haircut in like 2 months, 3 months, whatever it was, and now
But
I look younger.
You do, but you will still see past Stuart for several days, as is the way of pre-filming.
It's very true. Very true. So welcome, guys. 68 of you here. It's awesome. A good start. Hit the like button.
I will start by showing instantly to get this out there right away.
You do that. So while he is sharing, this is this Super Chats, PayPal, Teespring store, Trekyards merchandise. Help us, we're poor section of the show, where if you want your comment or question read, Super Chats are a great way to do so. So throw them out there. And if you want to join the channel, we already have somebody else that joined earlier today when this went live. I'm not sure, or when it went up for scheduling. Fuzzlestein has joined, and he is a captain. So welcome to the rank of Captain Fuzzlestein. That's a great name, I must say. And no highlights. Thank you. Sharing is caring. Yes, share the video around. Hold on just 1 second. I'm getting like some. I am back. So sorry, I just had to deal with something. Respect the continuity. Digitally remove the hair. What hair? I was never bald though, so there's no discontinuity there. I look more like my Trekyards avatar now. So that's cool. But yes, Troy is here and he has hit liked. Brian, good to see you, Brian Kesterson. Thank you for helping us with this live chat today. 91 of you here now, so that is awesome. Super Chats is Ferengi for free money. Well, it's not really free. We are entertaining you. We're trying to. We're providing a service. We will service you. Sounds very dirty. So, yes. Just sit here and stare at the commander, and he knows that he should be speeding things up. But in the meantime, Alexa, tell me a Star Trek joke.
How many ears does Captain Kirk have? 3. His left ear, his right ear, and his final frontier.
Thank you, Alexa. You could work for Trekyards. That was great. Yes, so hopefully you enjoyed that very funny joke.
I feel like I should do a super cut of all the things I miss in these lives.
You should, because you missed some cool stuff.
It's like this is the unknown could say anything moment or moments. He slags me off every single day. That's the truth, isn't it, guys?
Not every day.
Not every day.
50%. 50% of the time. 50% of the time we're live, and you do that. That's what I do. Anyway, as I was saying, Fuzzlestein, who was here earlier, joined the channel. He's ranked captain. So
excellent. Welcome.
I salute you, Captain Fuzzlestein. I
Hell
thought I'd ever hear myself say that. Jersey, though, puts in $5 Canadian. Thank you very much, Jersey. A great way to jump off the super chat train.
Yes.
He says, if both governments agreed to disband the zone, does that mean the Treaty of Algeron is defunct and now Starfleet can use cloaking devices? And that's a very interesting question that a lot of people have been asking. I think the situation would be yes. Because basically the major power that was the Romulans is now not so major of a power. So I would think that's an interesting question.
Yeah. I mean, I called this last week. I said I bet the neutral zone's fallen, or something of that ilk. Based on where it's all going, it kind of follows that a dark time would come along.
Yeah.
But they're being very light on what are the politics of the day. We really have no concept of the Federation's relationship with the Romulans. Nothing, we know that humans from Earth are allowed on a Romulan Borg cube, so we're peaceful enough to allow that without any sort of, it happens, so it's obviously peaceful. No neutral zone, again, implies other things, but, I mean, they've been so informative about it.
Well, Andrew Sapp says, I'm surprised you didn't rename your Alexa to computer. I did at one point. I did rename it to computer. I had Alexa tell a joke while you were sharing. So, but yeah, I did rename it to computer. But the fact is, we say computer a lot when we do Trekyards episodes. So it was like constantly going off. So I had to rename it back. So there you go.
Fun times.
Ozzy says, did Captain Riker help take down the Romulan Neutral Zone after Nemesis? I would think so. He was on a peace envoy to Romulus. It would have been probably one of the first things that the Romulans might have said, hey, you know what? Maybe we don't need the neutral zone anymore. It's a very good question.
Well, the reason for the neutral zone, obviously, was the Earth-Romulan War. And it's kind of funny because I work on the Romulan War fan film documentary series, which has a very specific telling of the Romulan War. And so it's kind of, I've been on that for 2 and a bit years. It's kind of hard to, differentiate his version of it with the canonical because there is very little in canon. Books aren't canon. There's many books on it, but they're not canon, so it's irrelevant at that point. As we've been keep being told, so we're going to keep reiterating it. But, war happened. Bad things happened. They may or may not have been deadlices, depending.
There were.
May or may not have been. Who the hell knows? But it was done at a certain point. A treaty was signed. Also, after Federation was signed, but it was an Earth Federation war. Earth Starfleet war. Some of our allies helped, probably, but it wasn't... Or was the early days of the Federation? I can't remember which one it was. It might have been the early days of the Federation itself. Because these are the voyages that takes place after Romulan War, which is odd, because it jumped all of the meat of the NX era.
Yeah, no kidding.
But that's the time the Federation charged. It must have been before that. But it's to stop hostilities. There was a war. It lasted a few years. It was bad. It was negative. It was our first big war ever in space. And the zone was created, and then the Romulans...
In space, no one can hear you war.
But in CG, they make you put sound effects in. And then, obviously, we didn't hear about the Romulans for a long, long time. They chose not even to say hi. Same with the Klingons, which is annoying, but whatever. And only in TNG do they come back, so there was a massive hiatus there, except with the Romulan ambassador in Star Trek 5 and 6. So they're still diplomatically in talks, but I'm sure he refused to say anything about anything. It's like, if you don't talk about the politics of today, I'm not even going to talk to you. How's the weather today? Nope. How's your mum? Nope. How many Romans are alive now? Nope. Nothing.
Yeah. Well, Leon Cranston,
Oh.
Cranston puts in $2. Can't get bluer than an Andorian singing the blues. You can get bluer than that. An Andorian singing the blues that's hit the like button made it blue. Because if it's not blue, you did not do blue.
And one where it's a wet t-shirt contest and they're being like covered in the blue booze in 10 forward. So Andorian being like in a blue shower. There you go. In a blue shower.
Is that like a golden shower, Samuel? Do Andorians pee blue?
If they drink the
Romulan ale.
Yeah, that.
Which leads right into the not Romulan Neutral Zone thing. Romulans.
Lucozade, blue Lucozade. There you go. That's what I was trying to think of.
Jeff Jacobs, $2, 53 likes. They got awesome. Again, at 100, hashtag make Jeff pay. 158 of you here. That is awesome. Make sure you hit that like button. Let's get the likes up to at least 100. Let's make Jeff pay again because we want him to be poor and destitute and on the streets, living in a cardboard box.
Yeah. What? No. What?
Oh, did I say that out loud?
But likes are important though. Help the analytics.
Yeah, they do.
It does help.
We also got a super chat from John Holland, so thank you very much, John. $5. They have mentioned the Romulan rebirth movement, but is there any indication that the Romulan Senate survived in some shape or form? Oh, yes. I'm sure the Senate survived. They were the first to get off the planet. But yeah, the Romulan rebirth movement is interesting. I think it's an anti-unification thing because I'm sure they felt like they were being homogenized. And, just being the unification thing with the Vulcans would kind of go against a lot of Romulans, I think, rub them the wrong way. So the Romulan rebirth movement is probably the exact opposite of that. So,
I mean, again, it's tricky with asserting because the logical stance would be that Romulans could evacuate their entire planet easily. They had at least months, years to do it. And so to say any senator was killed is pure daftness. Although people were saying that in one of the books or novels, whatever, for Picard, they didn't believe it, so they chose to stay until the last minute. And it's like, who would write that? So I don't know what to believe that. It's not in canon. There's been nothing in canon.
Actually, the whole Senate got killed by Shinzon.
Yes, so. That's why you can argue for a radical shift in policy because all of their leaders died, except one lady. She walked away.
Mm-hmm.
That lady. So that I'm fine with being totally radical, but that Senate I'm sure left, but they could be much more pro Federation, Senate. I don't know. Would they want to? Could that have been? Because you wouldn't assume the entire empire would be damaged that heavily with the Senate being destroyed. Because all you need is one person to take over, and I'm sure the military would step in and take martial law. Like, I'm sure there wasn't that much of a shift for the everyday Romulan, besides, our government got killed. But, I mean, senators have to deal with their assistants, with their there are levels of government. You kill the top people, yes, but everyone who's in the middle management's still there, plus the military and the Tal Shiar.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So do you think then that first set of people would say, hey, shit, neutral? Because at what point is neutral zone not worth having? Because it was there to stop more conflict. There hasn't really been conflict for a long time. There was tensions in TNG, but they were poorly there, if anything, really. They were never really delved upon. And then DS9 happened, they became allies, and then became active allies in the sense nemesis. So at what point is this 250-year concept outdated? They just say, nah. At what point would that have been even thought of, you think?
See, that's the thing with the allies in the Dominion War, and then I would think that there would be some at least changing of the neutral zone landscape. At least maybe it doesn't have to be quite as big, encompass as much as it did.
Yeah.
I don't know about not like getting rid of it altogether, And I'm not sure if this is a result of politics after the fact that the Romulan Neutral Zone is now no more, or what the situation is. And does that just mean it's strictly a border now, and you can just cross over? You have your passport, you're fine.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I
think there's no chance of initiating war upon any kind of, crossover.
I got the sense that by the way they sort of they said the neutral zone fell apart. So I honestly didn't get a sense that they decided to disband it. I think it's one of those things where, like, maybe they have to touch base every couple of years, and they're so busy with their own internal government that they just didn't. Why would we bother going to say, hey, neutral zone's still on? And then Federation were like, guys, they're like, oh, who cares? We're like, oh, I guess it's okay. I guess scratch off the map. Because why would you both agree to?
See, as the Federation, I don't know if I'd want the neutral zone gone, because the Romulans they seem more desperate now. So there would be more. You think there'd be more infighting and stuff, and more factions, more groups that would be more willing to kind of annex or attack Federation assets. So,
or maybe. Now again, this is. I'm trying to think like Kurtzman and the team, not like how I would do it. Yeah.
Go stick your head in the toilet and not breathe for about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Then you'll be thinking on the same level as Kurtzman.
No. If they're trying to say evacuating 2 planets was this massive ordeal that would take 1,000 ships and several years, right? Yeah. What if they'd said, right, we haven't got space on our own empire. Again, I'm trying to think like them. We haven't got space on our own empire. There's no planets that can take them, because they didn't say where that planet last week was. They didn't say where it was, except Beta Quadrant. But they both have this is just the Beta Quadrant. Like, this is just there. So what if after Hobus or during Hobus they said, hey, we'll expand the neutral zone, which thereby gives both races access to thousands more planets, but we both get to have habitation there. It's like a shared space. We get to put our refugees there, and you get to have colonies there if you want. So kind of a win-win situation. So it's kind of like neutral in a sense, but both can live in it because they need the extra space to move refugees.
That would make a lot of sense. Plus, they're close to Federation assets because they'll need assistance with a lot of things.
Because they're not going to help Romulans as much. They clearly haven't been keeping it secure. So and such.
Yeah. Just want to read one or two comments real quick.
Yeah.
Leo Playardon says, Trekyards, problem for Algeron and the whole discussion is we don't really know the state of the galaxy at the moment, how the Romulan state is after Hobus, or what the successor states really there are. Well, exactly. Plus, we also don't know the opinion or the position of the Klingons on this, because the Klingons don't like the Romulans. Never have. So, and they're still a big part of the decision-making process for the Federation. Wonder if they were one of the ones that said they were going to be withdrawing from the Federation as one of those 14.
I don't know, because you would think that again, Martok is now was Chancellor. He worked with Romulans very much. He knows that he couldn't have won the war without them. Enemy of my enemy is my friend. I can see Martok being much more genteel about it. I can't see them being the same level of hostility, especially since they were weakened by Nemesis. I'm sure the Klingons might see that as if we suggest trade talks, we might be getting some cool shit out of them. They're weak, they could do with the help right now, and we can benefit from some tech. So I don't think they necessarily would be the same level of I hate Romulans after the Dominion War, after all that stuff. Maybe. There's 2 different political structures now: the new Nemesis set and the new Martok set.
Yeah.
Was he ever anti-Romulan, really? Don't think I've got that sense necessarily.
Don't know if I ever got that sense from him, but yeah, it's hard to say. Not a banned account, though, puts in $5, so thank you.
Yeah.
We need more diversity. Can Picard or Seven be revealed as bi or trans? Picard could have an epiphany that thinking like a man led to his mistake. Oh, there you go.
Also, think like a woman led to Seven's mistakes. They'll swap genders, and then they'll have facial surgery, and they'll look at each other, then it'll be body swap.
It'll be like a Star Trek version of Face Off.
Yeah.
With Cage bodies. And John Travolta. Ooh, well, I mean, the Doctor was in Seven's body. I'd pay for that surgery.
Neutral Zone.
Wait, what? Neutral Zone? Oh.
Yeah.
Daniel Hall says, according to Picard, there was a senator on the refugee planet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's like saying, I was an MP, member of Parliament. There are hundreds of MPs living in the country. There might be an MP for 3 years or 4 years. So, I mean, I guarantee, it's been 20 years. There are lots and lots of senators. You know what I mean? So, yes, it's special, but it's not as if he was just one, shows how far he's come, but he wasn't like the top. If it was Praetor, that would have been like, damn, son.
Yeah, there's lots of senators that not necessarily are in the Senate, that weren't there for the Shinzon attack as well. It couldn't make it that day, just in a different region. There's still a broader political structure than just the Senate,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's tricky. That is like not every MP can sit in Parliament in Westminster by about like 50 or 80, so you cannot have everybody attend. That's why it's always a first come first serve sort of thing. You got to book your seats and such.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because that wasn't a very big Senate. I mean, it was for a movie, but it wasn't for a realistic thing. I mean, that might just be
considering it's not just Romulus, but the Romulan Empire. Yeah, it was quite tiny. So
maybe it was just like his 3 p.m. appointments. Every 6 hours, he has different rotations of senates as Mr. Praetor with the not very good Romulaners that they didn't do well at all. I don't know. Just the fact that the Borg thingy relic,
the artifact.
Right, thank you. Thingy. The Borg artifact. The fact that is in such a good state of service. They don't feel rushed. They don't feel dramatic. That would not imply that the Empire's in disarray.
Yeah.
I know they're doing secret research, whatever there, but you don't get the sense that they're a failing government because that thing seems to be working pretty effectively. It's not like, and even the refugee camp, it's not as if there was crime. You didn't get the sense it was a barbaric place. It was just, we haven't got that much to do these days. We're just drinking bars and, there are raiders and we have people to protect ourselves from them, and that's to do in the ship. So it wasn't like, I didn't get a sense they're in shambles, and they really shouldn't be. There's no logical sense they would be. So it's like, if only 2 planets got destroyed, nothing else should change. Maybe there's space docks and star bases that are important and dry docks around.
I'm sure they would, yeah.
I'm sure they would. But should have moved everything for the most part. So I don't know what would be the shift. And in fact, if the Romans hated Earth more after Picard's failure, because it was totally his fault for the synth attack, was the neutral zone abandoned before that or after that? Because if you like humans less after that, then why would you? If you liked them more before that, then what do you think about anything else afterward?
But while you're talking, it raises an interesting question. Do you think the neutral zone was disbanded prior to the evacuation attempt as a means to aid in the evacuation? Because logistically, you couldn't allow. I don't know. I'm trying to think like a politician, and I just can't get my head that far up my ass. So I can't really. Yeah. I have too much common sense. I don't know.
And obviously, if they're making 1,000 of the same ship, it's not as if there's rocket science to say which is the rescue ships. Because at the end of the day, what is really in the neutral zone? It's a buffer between two races. It isn't.
Yeah.
There isn't. I think it was picked on lines where there's less interesting stuff in it. I know people live there, but it's like it's not. Except Iconia, that's really important. But whatever. It's not as if it's prime restart. I wouldn't think that as soon as it got disbanded that people would rush in and colonize planets. It's like, okay.
Again, it could have been a good option for the Federation helping out as well. Going into Romulan space, the neutral zone's a lot closer, so use the planets in the neutral zone to dump the
that's what I mean.
people. Yeah.
It might have just been a pure bargaining tool of we'll help if we say F this, we help with Shinzon, we've been allies for a while, we're going to help this evacuation, we want the neutral zone done, as a pure act of peace, as a pure act of, look, this is a representation of war. We haven't been at war for 250 years, let's just disband it in a nice way, kind of like the Klingons eventually signed Khitomer and stuff, but that wasn't, that was a nice thing to do, it wasn't...
I can also see the Federation like in talks to help the Romulans, and Starfleet brass being like, okay, some of us don't want the Romulans or to help them, so throw this at them. We'll help you if you dismantle the neutral zone, if you agree to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And Romulus would be like, okay, probably, sure. And they're like, oh shit, that worked. That didn't work,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can see things like that going on behind the scenes, but I'm not good with politics per se, so I don't really know how those kind of things play out.
So I wouldn't know how the Federation would think after that, because no one in the Federation, at least in Starfleet, has lived without the neutral zone. I doubt anyone, even Vulcans, were alive since NX era. That's pushing it.
No, I think there would be a few alive.
Because
maybe
Sarek was senile by TNG, and we're 30 years past that, and Spock was kind of getting.
But he also had a
did.
disease, which was rare. So.
And he wasn't alive in TOR in NX era, or would have been just born. I mean, maybe the oldest of the Vulcans, but I think that's still probably pushing it. 200-something years.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. But there's definitely no like admirals in Starfleet, so no one knows what it is to live outside of that. And I wouldn't. I wasn't really conscious of politics when the Berlin Wall was up. But I mean, how long was the Berlin Wall up? Do you remember?
Well, from 1940, for the end of World War II till. Hold on, I'll check with my
90-something. 95.
89, I think. It was because of Reagan, so it came down after him. Yeah, late 80s, early 90s.
So that was two generations of people that lived that were born with that as a concept.
1989, yeah, it came down. So
I mean, what did you think when that came down? As you knew about it vaguely, was it like, oh my god, like was the world different? I know it was, but maybe for you, for an average person, like an average person in Starfleet,
Yeah, that was a big thing. That was a big deal. I was at that age where I just didn't really care, but it was interesting. It was definitely on the TV all the time. So we have a few super chats though. Jarzia, $5.
Hey.
People are saying Girardi is going to be trans, but let's be honest, if she was, they'd cast a trans person. I mean, acting isn't really a thing anymore. Yeah, and they would have made a big deal of it up probably by now.
And the joke about being trans in the future, if you are, you can get completely seamless surgery to be a swap gender. So you would look exactly... So you would hire a woman to play a trans woman because they'd be completely genetically a woman at that point. If that's who they want to be, it wouldn't be... If you can become a Borg or a Salamander and go back, you could swap genders really easily. So I don't think, you just hire a normal person, cis person, because they wouldn't look anything beyond. You need full reconstruction surgery, so it wouldn't be a thing. It's just people. That's the point. Being gay, straight, trans, lesbian is not a thing. It's just people. Therefore, none of it's we wouldn't make a big deal of it. And it's all just basic.
Yeah. John Holland puts in $5 Canadian.
Thank you.
Are the Romulan ships around the Borg cube Tal Shiar or Romulan Empire ships? Also, what do you think the chances of seeing DS9 in the series? Well, first of all, I don't think that we don't have enough information to find out if they are Tal Shiar or Empire ships, but it's a very good question. I think they're Empire ships because she says to Narek, "Are you Tal Shiar?" It's still not like everybody on the cube's Tal Shiar. Otherwise, she would just assume he was.
I mean, they keep calling it secret police. If everyone knows about it, it's not a secret. So I'm assuming that it's secret in the sense that average people in Star Federation wouldn't know. Is that one of those like, have you heard of the Tal Shiar? What's the Tal Shiar? Oh, it's the. I hear it's this because we only deal with specialist people. We only deal with captains, admirals on the best ships. Why would a random Obeth commander know about the? You know what I mean? So yeah, I assume it's just Empire people. I mean, Tal Shiar doesn't need to be everywhere doing everything.
And what do you think of the chances of seeing DS9 in the series?
Low, but I'd love to see it.
I don't think we'll see it season 1. Season 2 or 3, I can see it becoming a thing. So
because they've got to build the model, and they don't want to build many 3D models.
Yeah.
But also, you could sort of argue it could be like a new version of DS9. It's been 20 years. They could argue, got destroyed and remade.
Like the new one in the novels, because it's so great looking.
Sorry, Andrew.
It's kind of not.
It's kind of not. Yeah.
Jeff Jacobs, $2, 104 likes, 215 watching. Let's get to 175. Hashtag make Jeff pay. Awesome. Thank you for 100 likes. But 230 of you here right now. Hit that like button. Let's get that number up. We can do it. Starship Mango puts in £2 from Posh English Romulan Picard's bodyguard. From Posh English Romulan.
Into an Australian accent.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he got all of a sudden Australian. It's quite strange.
And Starship Mango puts in £2 again. Had an Aussie accent.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. He got that all of a sudden, right? Not an accent. Yeah. No, it's I mean, like I said, it feels like all of the characters were sort of. It feels like a lot of the intro stuff was reshot with a different tone, or reshot the middle, because the Raffi stuff doesn't link at all. Jurati wasn't given too much. It would be weird to swap accents of a character in a second episode. It's not really what you tend to do, but okay. Don't know.
Have you seen Avenue 5 yet?
No. Wow, I'm busy.
I watched the first 5 episodes the other night, and it's pretty fantastic. You mentioned some of the characters swapping accents, and that made me think of that. Anyway.
So you're on the you get the humor side.
Yeah, you'll learn about that when you watch it. I don't know. See, I'm interested to find out the whole political landscape. I want to find out what the Klingons are up to, and you got to think too. I mean, again, this is not really canon because it's Starfleet battles, but bordering the Romulans on the other side was the Gorn. And
you have mentioned the Gorn in the show.
Yeah, and they basically were taking care of the Gorn the whole time. They were kind of absent from the Federation border. I assume they got that dealt with because it came back. But I mean, now that there's a vacuum there as far as the Romulan Empire goes, I'm wondering if they've kind of been shrunk down quite a bit on other sides, because I think they also bordered the Tholians. So, would those powers take advantage of that? See, we need to know the whole political landscape, the whole political picture, to really get a feel for what's going on exactly. And no neutral zone means, and being allies with the Federation for the Dominion War means that you can have Federation assistance in that regard.
Or at least fostering.
Yeah.
Tholians, we've now made peace with the Federation. Do we want to, because now rather than 3 borders, it's now just a border with the Tholians. It's like, well, 2 sides with them. Do you really want to?
Yeah, exactly.
Although, it's hard to visualize space, but you've got a neutral zone, right? And so you can't expand left or right, but you can keep expanding up, right, and down.
And down.
Because there are more planets like those directions, surely. Because that's how you can keep expanding, just up. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep. 3D thinking. The Ronin puts in $2 with no comment, but thank you very much. We very much appreciate that.
Thank you.
And this is a topic we would love your input on, guys, because I really don't know a lot about politics or how this kind of thing works. So I really would like to get your views on what you think the political landscape's like and why the neutral zone might have been taken down, whose idea it was the Romulans agreeing, to get help from the Federation. What are you laughing at?
The Ronin, the new DS9 model, should be composed of nothing but Discovery shuttles glued together.
I love it. I think that's fantastic.
Makes sense.
That's
what I keep doing.
It would look like it was made of brick from a distance. And you get close, and because they're all red, they all have red striping on them from Discovery.
They're very pointy because of all points on the Discovery shells. Jesus, that could be a fun test. Can you build Enterprise D and Discovery shuttles? Because they can't afford new models, but can you make shape with the old ones? No.
Oh.
But now I've been, now I mentioned about it starting in the X1 era. I kind of wonder why, except the fact that they didn't talk to Earth until TNG, was the Romulan Neutral Zone even needed still?
It was a way to deter war.
Yeah.
If anyone's side slipped in, and that's why it was so big as well. So if you did have navigational problems, you wandered in, you're not going to get deep enough to really constitute any kind of danger, because you would try to get your ass out, unless you get the halfway mark and you keep going, and then it's like, well, they're clearly up to something, and that came up a few times in TNG. That's why it was such a big buffer. Instead of a border, it was an actual zone of,
because everyone abused that quite a lot.
Yep, when the need arose, which was often. Yes. Jarzius puts in $2 and says, 3D thinking, huh? That thing Khan couldn't do. Exactly.
Yeah.
John Holland puts in $5. Maybe Cisco comes back from the wormhole to smack some sense into the Trekyards.
They won't, because he's retired, and sometimes the real actors' choices have to play a factor as well. They just don't.
Well, he said the writers. So, I mean, somebody needs to smack it some sense into the writers. Who better than Cisco?
Yeah.
Truby Howard puts in $5.
Hey.
Trek is about accepting others for themselves. Gender, race, and sexuality orientation doesn't matter. Just give us great characters and stories. Exactly.
But ideally without being drug addicted and such, because people are better than that. Unless it's alien drugs you've never had before. It's just, it's when I write fan films and such, I tend to make the characters good at their jobs, because they're obviously Starfleet officers, and nice but can be flawed. But never write a racist character, because that's antithetical to everything that Star Trek means. I don't know why you'd want to do that. It just doesn't make sense.
And Ozzy says, do you need permission to cross into Romulan space if there isn't any neutral zone? Well, if it's still a political border, yes. But there's quicker ways to go about it with a border. Stay on your side of the room. I put tape down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was symbolic, wasn't it? It's like, we won't fight. But I mean, it's like with any border nowadays. It's like, if there's a border for a reason, you don't go over it, and there won't be trouble. And you have to ask permission.
And then Anthony says, could it be that the Romulan homeworlds were destroyed and the Empire fractured into multiple parties? Yeah, and that's exactly what I was saying. To fill in those voids, and then we kind of saw a little bit of that with the Warlord that had acquired in the old Bird of Prey. Warlords tend to have like a system that they watch over, they protect, they anybody that comes into it, they steal their shit. So I think that might have been the case. And again, if you have a neutral zone and on the other side of that is a bunch of different parties that don't give a shit, they cross into the neutral zone. That's an automatic state of war. That's what a neutral zone is for. So probably be wise to disband the neutral zone in that case. If there are different parties that could, be causing issues, you don't want the whole of Romulan society going to war because some faction.
But that's like saying that when Krug attacks Kirk, there should be war. But he was a renegade item. I mean, if he doesn't speak for the government, the appointed government, I don't think that. I think you can, okay, yes, we got attacked by a rogue, whoever, but he's a rogue. But
appointed government back then was way different than it is now, considering the state of the Romulan.
Well, we don't know. We don't know
exactly.
And obviously, we're quite big fans of Seela. Remember the actress' name? Denise Crosby. There you go. Denise Crosby coming back and walking out of the shadows, as she tends to do in those episodes, as leading, as being the light of leading. What do they call it? The Romulan Freedom Foundation. What are they called?
Oh,
you mentioned it a few minutes ago.
Oh, the Romulan rebirth movement.
Yeah.
Romulan rebirth movement.
Yeah, I can imagine. Once the threat was, if she's been in the background, building things, designing things for 2 decades or whatever, then as soon as there's this massive crisis, and as soon as Shinzon bloody kills the Senate, I mean that's the first incident. Or if she either comes in or whatever. takes some power, says, "Oh, I've got the fleet that can save people. I'm the stability you need right now," and then fractures off because some people don't want, the rate. Because I can imagine the Romulans a bit more racistly charged, so I don't want a half human, half Romulan to lead anybody. And that creates civil war in a sense, but maybe it's like a secret civil war. It's more just people joining into factions.
I would buy that. That'd be.
She definitely needs to
seems
come back
plausible. Yeah.
I need a logical character to bring in.
Leon Cranston puts in $2.
Thank you.
The USS Sheer Effing Hubris.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to do a model of the USS Sheer Effing Hubris. I think that'd be fun.
It's just a big middle finger.
What would it look like? Yes, I like that. That's good.
Apparently, Rob Marbinet is saying yay for us right now, so let's pimp him as well. Go look at his thing. He's also live right now with double our people. So yay for him.
What's he saying about us? I don't even know.
Don't know.
Speaking of, just kind of off topic a little bit. The other night I was watching 2010.
Yes.
The year we made contact, and I said it's a better movie than 2001. I find it more enjoyable personally.
We talked about this just off stream, didn't we?
Yeah. And I knew when I posted this that I would get people like Rob Burnett and Mojo commenting on it. Sure enough, right away they did. And Rob Burnett was like, "Stuart, I love you. Trekyards, I love you. 2010, I love you. It's a great movie. But don't besmirch the good name of Trekyards by making this statement." I'm like, hey, it's just a personal opinion. It does not reflect the attitudes or opinions of Trekyards. Anyway, Rob Burnett's a good guy. So, yes, go watch him, but after our live.
Yes.
244 people watching. Everybody hit that like button and let us know your thoughts on this topic. What do you think would happen? What do you think did happen to get rid of the neutral zone? What do you think will happen now as a result?
It is very tricky because you gotta think outside of the box of some of the logic, because they're trying to make a further dystopian world than we would go, and so the chaos that we would not imply, they're gonna put in.
Mm-hmm. And Fiddleheads puts in $2 and says J.L. Picard will stay hopeful in a dystopian world. But he wasn't hopeful to start the show because he was just waiting to die.
Yep.
So I think he's on his way to becoming more hopeful. But as of right now, he's very not. So
no one is. It's just a show of sad people in a sense.
Yes. Much like Trekyards.
Wow, thanks. Although I'm wondering if, because the Tal Shiar, right, the secret police, if there is this other entity, the Jat Vash, Kilish, Jat Vash, I still think they haven't said it as if they're behind it all. They're just another sect inside of it that's older. Because why would a group that's worried about androids also be in control of the thing that's in charge of everything secret policey? It's like a specialist thing and then a general thing. The Jat Vash is Tal Shiar, but Tal Shiar is not Jat Vash. That's the distinction,
Yes.
But do you think...
And the Tal Shiar doesn't even know the Jat Vash exist officially. They're used to scare them as boogeymen.
Sure. But the secret's obvious and easily known by those who do know. But they were said to be mostly destroyed in DS9 when they did that joint attack against the Founders. At least heavily, heavily weakened, right? That was the impetus for that.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think after the Senate got effed up, obviously you've got the normal military, but do you think the Tal Shiar would take that as we will want to be in power now? Is a secret police really want it, or they want to be in charge, or are just we do it for the... It's like Section 31 would not want to be in charge of the Federation. They always want to be behind the scenes controlling things.
Mm-hmm.
So would they say, well, we'll step in and help take over? who obviously you could be in the military and be Tal Shiar because there are people. So it'd be a front, but would they want to just come in and take power? Is that going to be a thing? Do you think?
They won't want to take power officially on the books, but it's like like the Freemasons or whatever. You got people in power that are Freemasons. It's a secret society. Does it run what happens in the background? No one knows, because it's not officially. The Freemasons aren't officially in charge. So I think it would be one of those things where you have enough power that you know everything that's going on, and are in a position to enact your agenda, which is the Zat Vash version, as needed, and on a need-to-know basis for people below you, so that nobody really knows what the hell is going on. That's how secret organizations work. They don't want to be like, hey, we're in charge now. We're the Zat Vash. No, they wouldn't do that. So, Starship Mango puts in £2. Expiry date, they never renewed it. LOL.
Yeah.
Tangerine. Yeah, they didn't pay the fee. Tangerine Star 26, £2. Improved relations plus reduced tensions equals no neutral zone. Yeah?
Yeah, no, I agree.
I agree as well. Eugene puts in 500 rubles. Is there anything behind the phrase collapse of Romulan Neutral Zone, not dissolve, not disband, but specifically collapse? Yeah, exactly. See, dissolve, disband, those are all like political decisions that resulted in it going away. But collapse is definitely something that, because of the lack of anyone in charge, seems to mean that it just fell.
Well, I read the Memory Alpha page before this has a refresher, and they said that a lot of the Romulan ships in DS9 era TNG were patrolling the neutral zone. I guess if you're boxed in on most places and you can't expand into the Empire, so I assume you have to defend your borders. But that's a lot of military force if it either goes away. I mean, the Dominion War surely destroyed a lot of ships. I mean, at what point do you say, well, we can't man every border, we're not really at war anymore. I mean, either we keep it up and have no sort of actual level of control over it, or we just say, let's try peace for a bit, I mean, it worked for the Klingons. I mean,
those stupid barbaric Klingons. We can definitely handle it. Captain Caveman says the Romulans couldn't enforce the neutral zone.
Yeah,
that exactly what you were just saying. So, yeah. Plus, you got to think too. Perhaps their new center of power is farther from Federation space, so it's not really an issue. I mean, there's lots of things that could result in the. We need more clarification. And I mean, this is probably something that'll be clarified in novels or books, but then of course those aren't canon. But at least a little explanation there would be helpful.
Season 2.
I don't think we're going to get it in show, unfortunately.
No. Who do you think is a bigger threat to the Romulan Empire in terms of borders, the Klingons or the Federation?
Say that again, the first part, sorry.
Who is a bigger threat on the borders, on their respective border, the Klingon Empire or the Federation? To the Romulans.
Probably the Federation.
Oh, why? I thought you were going to say Klingons.
Because it's a larger power. I mean, the Klingons have always had, they're now part of the Federation. So I think if they broke away, they wouldn't have as much of they couldn't be as much of a threat to the Romulans as they once could have been, perhaps. I think the Federation is the head honcho. I mean, they've always kind of, even in the 60s TOS, the Federation was always America. It just, unfortunately, it was. That's just the way it is. So I don't know. That's the thing. That's what I think, anyway.
Because this is only the Romulan human neutral zone, but if you're limited resources, they might have said internally, we're already suing for peace with the Federation, a treaty, but the Klingon neutral zone, those guys, they will fight us if they want to. So we need to make sure we have enough ships there we have enough ships for one treaty, one border. Well, let's make a pact with the Federation to lower the zone, get some goodwill there, and then protect the Klingon neutral zone because that's like more important in a sense.
I don't know if I need to look at a map. I'm not sure what borders the Romulans specifically or not. If the Klingons actually do have a border with them that they share.
Well, if they hate each other, they can't go through. I mean, they're not going to fight through Federation space. I mean,
no, they'll fight over it or under it. Just fly.
Well, exactly. That's a weird thing to think about. But seriously, it's like, how have they even fought if they've got to go through someone else's space? Federation can't be everywhere. It can't be the biggest power. Let me look at Larry Nemechek's map then, because that's the most canony one.
And Alex Mackey says collapse indicates that many peoples moved into the neutral zone far beyond the ability to for authorities to police. Yeah, and that's what I spoke about earlier, was the fact that now that the Federation is aiding the Romulans, it makes sense to get all your assets, and even if you're worried about them, all the assets pushed up front to not only aid but also be on the defensive just in case the Romulans decide to do something shifty. So it could be that the Federation kind of crept in a little bit to the neutral zone, or asked that it be removed in order to aid with any kind of humanitarian work. The very name is racist, but you know what I mean.
I do. What's that book called?
Which one?
Star Charts.
Star Charts, yeah, I have it in the other room. Fisher 2000 says Trekyards, but the Romulans and Cardies violated Bajoran space to fight the Dominion in the Gamma Quadrant. Yeah, but that's the Bajoran space. It's just a system.
Yeah,
it's not an empire. It's not the Federation or the It's just a system. So
yeah, it's their solar system. There you go.
Yeah. 250 people here. Hit the like button, guys. Like for my new haircut, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm styling. Samuel's like, oh my god.
No, I'm just trying to.
The Romulan Star Empire has a border with the Klingon Empire, so is there a Romulan-Klingon neutral zone?
Yeah. Well,
it's hard to say. I don't even think there was a Klingon neutral zone ever. It was just always a border.
Yeah.
And they had border skirmishes all the time in TOS. So it was a kind of a fluctuating border. I think the neutral zone is kind of locked in. Like, you can't have that kind of variance.
Because I have an image, and it's interesting.
Oh, right.
It's interesting. Let me get up on the live stream.
Well, Aku puts in £5. Thank you.
Thank you.
And bless you. Just kidding. Well, his name's Aku.
Matata? Akuna Matata.
No. Maybe like the collapse of the USSR, all the satellite states, Romulan neutral zone colonies were left to go it alone. Yep. A fracturing of the established structure. Absolutely.
But the thing is that there aren't colonies inside the neutral zone because it's the neutral zone. So any colonies that are on the edges of the normal space, I mean, they were always on the edge. They worked just fine. You know what I mean? Like, just because you lost a planet doesn't mean you don't have resources. Because all these planets will still have the same replicators, the same power generators. Like, they shouldn't radically change their life at all. I mean, every planet is self-sufficient. So I don't see why that would be any great effect or non-effect. So here you go. Here is the official big map. Obviously, it's in a book, so it's not canon. But it's the officially licensed, most up-to-date map.
It's the most credible one.
And it was, I mean, a version that was used in the office of Admiral Ladyperson.
CNC Clancy.
So technically part of it's canon, in a blurry sense. But there it is, guys. And it gives you a sense. Because I think we sort of associate space as being very equal and such, but the Federation really are just like in between everything else. You can imagine they just like, around other worlds and borders say, hey, do you want to be part of the Federation? Oh, yes, you do. Okay, great. Space has moved out a bit. Because that's all over the place.
Yeah.
I don't know, what do you think from this? Because it's weird.
Hold on, I'll have to full screen. I can't really see it.
It's weird.
It is weird. The Cardassians are way the hell over there, so it's not an issue. A little bit of... They got a very small border with the Federation. Or with the Klingons, I mean, sorry. The Federation has this huge border. And look at all the outposts and, like, stuff along that neutral zone.
But it does imply that the neutral zone, the part of the treaty was also neutral zone with the Klingons. It's just not the same.
Yeah. It doesn't look like it's protected or enforced as much.
No. It's more like a threat culture of you come through it, we'll just shoot you. Like, yeah. I mean, they've all got cloaks, so it's kind of harder to, you know.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, the Ferengis, do they trade with the Romulans? Do they trade with the Klingons? Can they fly through Federation space to get to Klingon space? Do they have to ask approval to go into Klingon space? Or because they're a third party, they don't need permission because they're traders?
Good question. I don't know how that would work.
Because if you're part of if you're in the Federation, you have the Federation passport, which means you can't be going into the zone. But if you're not, if you're just a random world, it's not a negative force. You might get stopped and asked why you're here, but...
Yeah. Well, Avenue Pad says, where do the Klingon and Cardassian empires border? They don't. If you look on the left of the screen, you see the Cardassian Empire. It's that red one. And then the other red one on the other side is the Klingon Empire. So they don't actually touch. They have the Federation as a buffer zone.
But this is as of TNG, so I can imagine they fought a while ago. Well, because the Federation was expanding the entire time. So I can imagine they fought before,
Yeah. And Jersey is sent to PayPal, so I will check that out. But Aku puts in another £2 and says, does the Romulan fleet still exist? We don't know. We don't know how much of the fleet is still around, what it entails.
I mean, none of it would be destroyed at Hobus. Well, not Hobus. None of it was destroyed at Romulus. So, I mean, all of the ships are still there. And they would have had 20 years to rebuild after the Dominion War. So, I mean, again, it shouldn't be as drastically different. Now, if they do say that Sela did... Because everything's in the past at this point, right? They've got a new status quo. If they say... it's like once we're a political leader for 12 years, they're not new anymore, are they? You wouldn't think of them as new. You wouldn't mention them necessarily all the time. So what if, after Nemesis, Sela did take over, and there were so many political upheavals that caused lots of drain on resources, but that became status quo, so you don't talk about it, but yeah, all this political stuff did happen, and the ships weren't rebuilt, and there was all this cool stuff that happened that will get alluded to, or we'll just be told, like this info dump of, well, that was after the instabilities where, multiple factions fought, and now one has primary control, and
see, I think going into the next episode, we might learn about that, because we're going into Romulan space now.
Yeah, yep.
So you might get an expedition done from Rios saying, since the fall of the neutral zone, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
So we might get some information leading up. Medallion, though, says a 2D map representation of 3D outer space. Yeah, well, that's all we got.
Yeah.
Varen Victus puts in $2. Always wondered why Cardassia wasn't found till TNG. Well, they had the Cardassian War. They were probably known about, but...
Well, Cardassians weren't big into... They weren't as big about attacking people until they got enough resources. I remember, DS9 was quite a big resource center for them.
Mm-hmm.
So they can expand with a certain amount of resources. I mean, not every empire, not every group has the same whatever. Yeah. But this is, again, a TNG map, so...
Yeah. Well, Jersey, I got the PayPal. Racism can play a part... Oh, sorry, it's $5, just so you know.
Thank you.
Racism can play a part in Trek stories. There was a dude in Empok Nor and also a bit from O'Brien that plays into his history with the Cardassians, or the Cardis, as he calls them. And yet, he was visibly taken back when Keiko called him out on it, which was an interesting character moment. Being racist is a flaw, but humans are still human in the future. The differences come from the comfortable utopia they live in. Swap a 20th century baby with one from the 24th century, and they'll fit in with the century they're raised in. Showing Starfleet characters being racist can tell us a lot about what that character might have experienced to develop those views. Saying someone wouldn't think a certain way because 24th century is a little boring to me. Yeah.
Although O'Brien's racism was about him hating them as a combatant in war.
Yeah.
It wasn't because he was brought up to think they're inferior. So it wasn't racism in the I hate them because they are. He hates them because they're killing his friends. You know, if you hate, you can hate Nazis and call out Nazis in the Second World War. Doesn't mean you hate all Germans. So you're not being racist against Germans. You're being anti-Nazi. So it's not the same thing. He just got used to, you know, generalizing the negativity over towards the people he's fighting. But it wasn't I hate all Cardassians in the same way. So I wouldn't class that as racism as much as just prejudice against the thing you're warring against.
Well, that's the thing. That's what's where propaganda comes into it. Propaganda generates that hate of the people, not the military. Because yeah, you're right. Just because you hate Nazis doesn't mean you hate Germans. I mean, during World War II, though, you say Germans, and everybody's like automatically goes to the Nazis, right? So,
but I would think that most civilians would not associate them exactly one-on-one. That if
I disagree. That's where the propaganda posters come in. You know, that they're pushing that agenda during war. So
I would just hope that if you asked a person in England in the Second World War, do you think that an average farmer in Germany hates you like the Nazis do? They'd say no. You know, I'd hope that people would have had that much understanding. But I guess without the spread of information that we have now, you can think that everyone thinks the same, whereas now we know that everyone's so diverse in opinion that you couldn't. I don't think you'd be able to create that again necessarily.
Well, you got to think like North Korea doesn't have access to all the. They get the standard. Here's the TV show you watch at this time, and it's all political bullshit. Same with in Germany. Whenever anybody got married in World War II, they got a copy of Mein Kampf from the Führer. So you all had the same materials, and they did a lot of book burnings in Germany at the time as well, because they don't want those other thoughts coming in. They want they want the populace to fall in line with their agenda. So it's just flooding them with propaganda and telling them what to think and telling them that the enemy's bad, and you know, don't think for yourselves. That's bad. You are what you learn, says Twisted from Melancholy, and that's exactly right. If you can't read or you can't have access to other materials, you're, so.
But yeah, Neutral Zone.
Neutral Zone.
One thing I was holding off talking about until now, because we're already a good chunk of the way through, is that the whole storyline being given to do with the Romulan Neutral Zone is that Seven of Nine had to either form or be part of these new range of groups to clean up the mess that no Neutral Zone has caused. It's that important that she needs to keep around there. Now, I'm not sure I buy that she's dedicated her entire life to helping people on one border. That feels like the smallest job possible, given the entire Federation in the Quadrant. Like, she was a Borg, she was in the Delta Quadrant. I mean, as she went through hundreds of territories in the Delta Quadrant, I don't see her being that one-dimensional as a character. She's, you know what I mean? I assume that they're rangers across the entire quadrant doing things, but they imply it's just on the board. Like, they're here to pick up the pieces, but it's like it's one border.
Or just certain systems. I kind of got the feeling it was specific systems that the Finnish Rangers operated in.
Yeah. To stop the bad guys who also operate in those systems that take advantage.
Who are taking advantage of what's going on, exactly.
And obviously, they're obviously Romulan people, they're Romulan raiders, the Romulan people being bad, people trying to, prey on the weak. That the main Romulan force won't stop. But why? I don't know. What's the sense about all that? Because it seems like such a specific thing.
Feels like the Romulans are more focused, at least militarily wise, internally, to closer to where their new base of operations is, and not covering the rest of the territories.
Maybe that's civil war with Sela, that they just keep hush hush. Like that would be great. Part of why
That'd be
all
great
the
reveal for season 2.
yeah, like all the military that they can't, for the last few years. We've no idea how long this has been. Might have been 4 years, 3 years. It might have been a multi-year internal conflict, kind of like the Game of Thrones. Multi-year. We're trying to fight the Lannisters and such, to try and regain power. Would be kind of a good reason why Neutral Zone had to be completely abandoned, because all the force had to be internal.
Avenue Pad puts in $5 Canadian.
Thank you.
As Jarzia pointed out, it's likely that Klingon Cardassian space meets above or below the 2D map. It helps to explain the Cardassian Klingon War. Yes. Yeah, exactly. There's no representation of it, so.
Yeah, and I wouldn't expect this to
How do you enforce a territory in space? I just don't understand.
Yeah, and I don't imagine this is the state of the galaxy during that war. They expanded at a certain time. This is after that, so I'm sure they boarded at some point, and then maybe even the fight got so bad they had to split off. I don't know.
Plus, you can't see on the bottom of the map. You see the Federation and Klingon trail off. The Federation could basically end, and the Klingon creep around there as well to kind of come back and join the Cardassians near the rear. Who knows? The borders are always shifting and changing and stuff. So, but yeah.
I just wish we knew more. I wish they'd set up, because it's hard to relate to the stakes. We're not given the stakes. Medium rare or overcooked. I mean, you just don't know until you're given the stakes to embrace.
Yes, because those are the stakes we're talking about.
Like, I also expected that with the lady, the news reporter. Like, that was the exposition time,
Yeah. It would also made sense to have even just another short trek.
Oh God, yeah.
Gave us the political situation in kind of like even the FNN, the Federation News Network kind of format
100%.
Of the state of the galaxy.
In a speech from Admiral Tomalok today, like all the documents and they're really cool. But I wonder if they're trying to keep it vague on purpose so that they don't have to explain it. That I can't imagine they're going to really focus on any of this. It doesn't feel that important to them. This is a character piece with very little story, and I mean, it's not as if they were even. I mean, we call them out a little bit, but in TNG they didn't tell us that we're at peace or at war with the Klingons. They didn't reassess anything. They didn't reestablish anything. But that was a very different sort of show where it wasn't about the Klingon conflict. Whatever, it wasn't focused on them at all. They were barely in it, and that was part of the point. So it's not the same example, although they didn't give us that sense.
Well, there was a few episodes where we kind of got the feeling that there's still uneasy tensions between them, even though they were allies. But
very confusing Neutral Zone reference, because if the Klingons are like, I'm still annoyed by that. If it was a Klingon Federation Neutral Zone, that makes no sense. If it was the Klingon Neutral Zone, why has the Federation ship gone into the Romulan Neutral Zone? Where the Klingons have gone in and the Romulans aren't doing anything. But as we see in this map, there is a zone where you could logically meet both forces.
Yeah, exactly.
But they should have said Romulan Neutral Zone, just Neutral Zone.
And Marshal Van Leeuwen, Trekyards, what about the map in the Admiral's office? Yeah, we didn't get a good look at it, though, unfortunately.
But it's meant to be this map. Like, they used this and then... They got it from the book.
Yeah.
I mean, I can try and find that image, but it's meant to be the same map. Which was a nice reference. That's a subtle reference that we appreciate. Let me find it. Let's see if we can quantify it.
Let's see here. Josh Clark says it would so help if we had a clear geopolitical picture of the galaxy in the series. Yep, it would.
Especially as we're meant to relate to the Romulans or not. Knowing how we're meant to feel about them. Obviously, we're not at war, and we can have people there just fine. So I assume we're at either a complete peace treaty, which I think would be kind of fun, actually.
Gabber D says, which is harder, making sense of all the diverging Trek canon or herding 50 cats? Cats are assholes, so...
I wouldn't say there's that much diverting Trek canon, to be honest, because it's only what's on screen, so it's quite finite, really.
But they contradict themselves all the time on screen, so...
Yeah. Yes. but not like more often than not. I mean, less than more, except the visual continuity stuff. But as we know, that's a visual reboot. So this is the
It's the same map.
yeah. Even with the yellow Cardassia. Well, that's the Ferengi. You can't quite see the Cardassian, but they might have removed the Cardassian. I'm sure they've changed it a little bit.
Interesting.
As to not pay like licensing to the guy that drew it, but yes.
And Medallion says Frakes directed both last the last 2 episodes.
Yep, not that he put too much of his own jazz into them, but.
And Fisher 2000 says that looks a bit like the Star Trek Online map. Which again is based on the one from the Star Chart book.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. No, I can see that actually. That's a good. I like that. That's actually. It really is actually. Now I don't know how out of date this is, but it already looks pretty similar. Let me bring that up then. So that's that one, because that would make more logical sense because it was made in the last 10 years rather than the last 15 years, 20 years.
Yep.
But I mean, it's such a small part of the visual of the episode. I mean, they can.
Daniel Hall. Bravo. He says, the problem with using on-screen reference from the background is that it contradicts previously example the size of the Enterprise in Discovery, which we did a whole episode on.
Yeah, this is true.
The measurements matched exactly like the Franz Joseph Technical Manual, and then
it isn't.
Guess what? Ship's freaking huge, even though the display on the Discovery said it was exactly the same. Because they cut and pasted. They're like, oh look, these are figures of ship sizes. Let's put those over there. No one will notice.
Yeah, it's the Easter egg. We're trying to be clever, but without any sort of consistent vibe. So I got to pee now. But there you go. There's this version, and see what you think.
Oh yeah, that does look a lot more like. Yeah, it does look more like the Star Trek Online map. Tholians are way in the corner. No one is going to bother them. Yeah, well, we did a whole episode on the Tholians and their culture and where they came from. They're not actually. Well, go watch the episode. That's all I'll say. It's really interesting. And yeah, Dan, you're absolutely right about that. Thank you for pointing that out, because we also did an episode on that. We were hoping, because we saw it before we actually saw much of the Enterprise, that we would get some kind of correct sizing. So we did a whole episode on that, talking about that. And people say, that's just a background thing. It's not going to matter. And we were hoping, as we tend to do, that it was in fact correct. But they just don't care. Occasionally I'm good for... Oh, Dan, you're always good for something. But thank you for joining us. And Dan, Sylvia says hi. I said Sylvia says hi, so Dan says hi as well. So she's waving. She's doing the Queen wave. And not the Queen Freddie Mercury wave. I got another super chat from Georgia, which I'll wait to read till Samuel comes back. Cade McCarthy says, the story of a drunk Romulan and her Vulcan friend. Now, that sounds very interesting. Yeah, so Georgia throws in $5 and says, I always imagine Cardassia as a puppet state under the United Federation of Planet and Klingons after the war. I bet they got Treaty and Versailles back to the Duotronic age.
Yeah, well, or would people think they've suffered enough?
No.
No. I don't know.
They're basically the Nazis, unfortunately. Well, the Cardassians in DS9, with the way their occupation was, they're the Nazis. So yeah, if they get all the ramifications of the after-war stuff, it would be very similar. So, gotta keep them under your thumb.
I can imagine the military is all but destroyed. Because especially if you can imagine they would start relying more and more on the Dominion stuff. And because of that, you're not necessarily building your own ships as much, you're doing other things. But we're going to see them in Discovery Season 3. So, we'll get some...
Well, we'll see. It won't be mentioned. We'll just be like, there's a Cardassian guy there. Yay.
Yeah. That's all I need.
Yeah. But really, maybe they're really good at making cars now. Yeah. Yeah, the Cardassians are now the new starship builders. Das Starship.
And you get a bottle of...
Did you try again?
No.
What's Damar's drink?
Kanar.
Yeah,
Kanar.
there's a bottle of Kanar in every single spaceship they build.
Yeah.
Free with every ship.
And you go there to fly it on their Autobahn, or their, what would you call it? The Warp Bahn. Starship
Kessel
Bahn.
Run. You mean Kessel Run?
Yeah, you can go as fast as you want. No restrictions. Who cares about subspace? Don't worry about that Warp 6 thing. Just...
Oh, they don't care. It's like global warming. If one race doesn't agree, then everyone's still warp breaking the universe. But I'm actually kind of interested by the I always just, in fact, the neutral zone always seemed such a thing, but I do think when you break it down, it passed its sell-by date.
Yeah.
You know? Which means actually losing it is more interesting than having it still, and in fact, it's not as big a deal as I think it could have been. And if we're taking the slant that, except the Tar Shal and the Jar Vash, that we're actually more at peace with them, like we were with the Klingons, politically, that world. It'd be interesting if there is that sense of the peace of the galaxy is actually more than it's ever been, but it's the secret bad things underneath that are worse than they've ever been. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Like, we've already at peace with the Klingons, and now we're at genuine peace with the Romulans, which is therefore galactic peace. But
There we go. The stream is complete. There, it's back up and resumed. Yeah, Daniel Hall said something funny. Where is it here? Yeah, they make good cars now, but they're all Discovery shuttles.
yeah, that's good. I like that. But I was just saying, I still don't buy the Ranger Y necessarily.
Again, we need more of an explanation. There's very little to go on right now, so you know how when George Lucas made Star Wars, he's like, nothing has to be explained. It's just everybody takes it for granted. It's the way things work, so you don't have to explain anything. It's great. That works, but unfortunately, we want to know what's going on. So,
well, Star Trek's the opposite. I mean, they made tech manuals of how warp drive works. They didn't make tech manuals of how hyperspace works.
well, I mean, yeah.
They might have made amazing technical drawings of everything inside a ship, but when they say flux capacitor, they mean shut the fuck up. It's a flux capacitor. Don't ask me how it works. Yeah. So the lightsaber, they made the lightsaber work, which I think is great. You know, like the time crystal in Vorash. What's it called, Vorash? Is that a planet?
Sounds right.
Yeah. They got the Kyber crystal, which is the Star Wars equivalent. So magic crystals. Any good universe has magic crystals.
Herbsta Mega says, I hate liking videos, but I always like for Trekyards. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you. It means a lot, actually. Appreciate it.
212 of you still here. Thank you very much. And by all means, hit that like button. Make sure it is blue.
Yeah.
So that we will be blue.
Yeah. I'm assuming there must have been Civil War stuff to explain all this instability to need Rangers.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you would still have enough ships to patrol your empire, at least have a sense of force. I mean, even Stargate, they bluff their way into thinking you have enough ships. But if, you know, if this one ward can think he's powerful enough with a single bird of prey, and they're like, he found an antique bird of prey, like, that's enough for him to have control of a system,
Exactly. Yeah.
which is nothing.
Things are pretty rough
You
if
know,
that's the case.
two fighters can basically destroy it. Okay, he lost one, but two. There must be basically no ships. They must be so busy with their own internal war that all the outer stuff is just so...
I wonder, as a result of Spock's reunification efforts and the fact that that was kind of a thing that was going on a little bit, if a lot of the Romulans said, why don't we just move to Vulcan? If that was like a solution for a majority of the populace or not, and how the Federation would take that. They wouldn't take it very well, I don't think. And I'm not sure the Vulcans would be on board necessarily. But I can see with the unification thing going on that could be a solution for at least a segment of the population that were into that. Even though Vulcan and Romulus were very different as far as environments.
I mean, so let's talk about that for a second, because I've never really been a fan of that storyline, personally. When you watch the Spock two-parter, do you really get a sense that the Vulcan people want reunification and what that might really entail?
Again, it's a percentage of them that would, but the vast majority, I don't think would necessarily be on board with it. So,
because culturally they're so different.
Yep.
I mean, if you had put Romulans on Vulcan, what do you expect to happen? They're not going to become Vulcans. It's
like a divorce. You get divorced for a reason. You don't go back and remarry that person. You just be friends. At the least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I don't know, like,
I thought I'd throw that out there. I don't know if that was an issue that came up during that whole trying to help out Romulus thing, but I think it would have at least been mentioned by a group of people.
It links because 09. I mean, Spock was there. He was only there because of unification or reunification. Sorry. I just don't. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't think reunification ever really meant Vulcans or Romans would ever live together again, because they're now so different cultures. It just meant we can now talk. We can be cousins again, rather than let's never speak of our, cannibal cousin in the attic that we keep chained up. But he got free, and now he's got his own little camp in the woods. Well, we can talk to them now. So I just don't even think, and I can see honestly that as soon as they're allowed to have Romulan attaches on Vulcan, that the Tal Shah would say, well, let's send our people undercover because that's useful, and instantly it becomes a negative purpose. I don't see that being really practical ever. Now, I think you're right in the sense that we know that the Federation let in refugees because they're on Earth. So I can see them saying Vulcans say Romans, hey, we've got 3 planets that are planets 14, 18, and 21 to our little bit of space. You're welcome to settle here. And then it's mini. I think I can see that happening quite happily. I don't see on Vulcan itself.
Or just a area of Vulcan, the Romulan district.
But then you're doing that's ghettos, because I wouldn't see them wanting to live together in harmony in the same way. But if they're separate planets, then it'd be this is the Vulcans there are just there to be a colony, yay colony. It's not this is our homeworld where we are the Vulcans. Then it's yeah, share our planet. We're now a 2-society planet. Let's have fun and hang out together.
Yeah.
You want me for dinner? I'll cloak and be right over there. Just because I can. You can't cloak, can you? Ha 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 ha.
Jeff Jacobs puts in $2. 186 likes. Nice. Again at 250. Hashtag make Jeff pay.
Oh, come on, guys. 192. Come on, 200 likes. Come on. Click like. Click like. Click like.
Click like. 222 if you're here. We can do it. I know there's at least, 60 people out there that haven't hit like, because people join and then leave and then new people come in. So the numbers look odd sometimes, but hit like if you haven't. It'll help. James McGill puts in $2. Which human culture identified best with Romulans? The Romans?
That was the original premise, yeah. But they don't fit that same expansionary... Maybe Russian KGB people? in terms of spy-ness.
Yeah, yeah. But the culture's based around the Romans for sure.
Yeah.
It's the same with the Klingons. It's like, what are they? Well, they're Vikings, but they're also samurai.
Well, yeah, exactly.
They're also like, there's kind of like, you know. So yeah, I don't know exactly.
I mean, they shouldn't be direct parallels. You know, it's like I would hate for the. I know it's been sort of said, but I'd hate for the Romulans in Picard to be, you know, Mexican immigrants, and that's their direct parallels. Like, but that's not what they are. You can't make a one-to-one parallel with alien races in the same way. Maybe in TOS they could have, because it was now inventing them. But with so many, like, the canon has taken on a life of its own. You can't reinvent them to be this. You know, like, they are this. You can evolve them, you can tweak them, you can show, you know, like you said, the Northerners, you know, this is why they've got ridges. That sort of clever retcon thing. But you can't just, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But I thought the one last topic we can talk about as we start to sort of simmer down here. Mention about the Treaty of Algernon thing, the whole cloak thing. What might the situation of that be? Because I don't know if I can quite buy that the treaty would be gone. Because, you know, cloak was a big deal for everybody.
Okay. One thing I don't remember. I wrote a script on the Treaty of Algernon. Did we film that?
We did film it, yes.
Did we release that?
No, because it's hard to represent a thing that's treaties, so I never sort of prioritised the edit, because it's like, visually it was never going to be very interesting.
We learned a lot about that in there, and I just want to show if it had been released.
I mean, I can play a bit of it if you want.
No. I'd rather just be edited at some point and put together, but...
Yeah.
Because there's a lot to learn in the Treaty of Algernon, and so the cloaking thing, it's hard to say. I mean, if there's political infighting, it's hard to say what treaties are valid and which are not anymore. I honestly don't know. Again, this is where my lack of political knowledge kind of falls apart, how things like that work.
Yeah. Because I would think that would be such a fundamental. It's like, yes, neutral zone bad. We'll move it. We'll remove it. But we can't leave cloaking devices. Like that's a war game changer. Neutral zone, you can always sort of fight back. But once you start saying yes, you can have cloaks. Why not phase cloaks? It's all the same thing. And now you've suddenly, because we already had that tech, and I'm sure Admiral whoever would say, oh well, we'll rebring the phase cloak technology. You know, whatever his name is, Admiral, the guy from Pegasus. You know, as soon as the treaty is disbanded, they'll let him out of prison, and they'll start working on it again. So I can't imagine that whatever treaty, if they undo the neutral zone treaty, they'll say yes, but we're going to keep the Algernon treaty as a subset. We'll renegotiate that. I don't see them letting that slip. I just don't see it as realistic.
Well, Medallion says, yeah, what's to stop the Lost Arena from having a cloaking device? I mean, it's not Starfleet. I mean, I think the Treaty of Algernon was, well, I guess, set up for the Federation. So, but considering what he does, I could see a lot of smaller smuggler-type people or whatever having cloaking devices that weren't allowed to as well. So,
but since he's working on an out of Starfleet system, I can see a cloaking device being absurdly expensive. For him to get one, the resource he'd have to give. I mean, I know it's obviously a smaller one. It's only for a small ship, but you know, that would be so difficult to get hold of.
Yes, I'm not sure what to say about the Treaty of Algernon thing, but it's an interesting question, and I do hope it's at least mentioned or we get some kind of resolution.
Yeah, we always hope for the best, and we've said for a long time we want. I mean, if they want to go as 55-minute shows, that would be great, you know.
Well, Pyridon says, Los Serena can have a cloaking device if my car can get a 75mm tank gun.
Yeah. That's good.
Carlos A. Smith, Trekyards. All treaties with the Romulan Star Empire in its entirety is gone, thus no treaty. But how do you know that?
but you just renegotiate instantly.
Yeah.
It's like because you'd have to both agree to the neutral zone being stopped, and then I can't. Yeah, I mean, it's not in the Romulans' best interest to let that slip, so they wouldn't let it slip. You know.
Yeah.
They might even have had that as part of the Federation and said, "Hey, we'll give you Cloak Aldron, that's fine, but we want neutral zone gone." Well, that might have been a bargaining tool. Like we'll let you have this. That is their entire strength. Can you imagine if Federation ships are cloaking devices? You know, an army of Defiance with cloaking devices, it would be an incredibly efficient weapon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially if they're more vulnerable than ever. It's their only play, you know. And knowing that they're more advanced than Klingons, because they don't want... If the Federation are allowed to develop tech, cloaking tech, they might get to the point where it's more advanced tech. And wouldn't that be terrible?
Yeah. Manzo fans or of Sand says, when did we learn that the Klingons had cloaking tech? You would think it would be Star Trek 3. However, it was actually the animated series. I forget which episode it was, but they had cloaking tech in the animated series. So, Jarzia puts in $2 Canadian. Romulans are in no position to demand anything. Yes.
But no, but they could still threaten to go to war. I mean, they're still an empire you've been dealing with for 100 years.
Just think about Khan. You are in a position to demand nothing. I, on the other hand, am in a position to grant nothing. I think that's what he was quoting, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. I think they'd still want no war among all else. It's kind of the all or nothing approach. If you go to a negotiating table, and they say, "Well, we want too much," you just walk away from the table. You know, we don't need to grant you free access to the neutral zone, whatever. We'll walk away, and then F you. So I mean, they're still a full empire. They still have thousands of ships. I mean, if they wanted to attack Earth, they could probably do some serious damage. So it's not as if they were destroyed. I mean, they lost 2 planets, they evacuated most people. It's not that big an issue, guys.
Yeah. And Leon Cranston says, TOS, they had a cloak. Not the Klingons, nope. And Admiral Talak says, is Star Trek Online, or Star Trek Animated canon? And it is now, yes. They just released that.
Really. But
no, now it is just across the board canon. They just released that statement like a week or 2, 3 ago, because Aaron Harvey shared it and said, "Oh, great! Not in time for my book, but here you go, guys." And I think it was CBS that said that. So there you go.
Yeah,
it's canon, but
don't necessarily buy that because that changes so many things.
Yeah, especially the environmental or the rec room, the environmental simulator, the holodeck. Anyway. James McGill puts in $1.99. Does Trekyards have its own version of the Tal Shiar? Trekyards Section 31 badge, anyone?
If we tell you, we'll have to send the feedback pulse through the stream, because we can do that, and it'll blow up all your computers. So if you want to lose all your computers, we can tell you. But you don't want that. So let's not talk about
for a $50 super chat, we'll tell you.
Jesus.
Daniel Hall says, About F in Time was written by original writers and produced by DC Fontaine.
Yeah, but they had no sense of we need to keep it consistent. They were just kind of doing fun stories. That makes the force field belts canon, and then you're saying, well, why did that tech come about and never used again? I mean, there's too many things that they did that were cool.
It wasn't good.
Yeah, so I wouldn't want to make that canon. It's too unstable.
Brandon D says, is Sylvia controlling everything from the shadows? She is. She's the puppet master. I may be the head of the family, but she's the neck. And the neck points the head in whatever direction it wants. So there you go. That's how it works.
And I just work here.
And she's sitting back there. She's like, yeah, doing this now, so.
I don't know. She's doing the guy and like, don't say anything wrong or I'll get you. Don't ask me what I'm going to do, but I'll do
She's
something.
she's not doing a Guinan thing like this.
That's what I'm saying. She is. She is. She is.
Paris, Trekyards, what they say is canon means nothing anymore. Exactly. They add stuff to and take away from canon whenever they feel like it. Yeah, I totally agree. So you can't. It's not a simple answer. Is it canon or not? They say it is, but I say my head canon is canon. So
Well,
I don't know what it though. Ozzy says, "Hi, Admiral from the Admiral." He's an admiral on the channel. So
I really need a new rank. I think Commander-in-Chief is probably the
Oh,
best.
God.
Oh, no, I don't think. Samuel just went, "Oh God." So what does that tell you?
Oh.
President Q.
Well, that's appropriate, but
There you go.
Oh dear. Well, guys, I think we're wrapping up now. We've got a pretty. Actually, I mean, considering how little is talk, I think we had a pretty good discussion there, guys, with a lot of topics.
I just wish I knew more about politics and how things work in that regard. So,
but things it's all fiction, obviously. But you can make these
What?
parallels with any version of society. So it's kind of hard to even make direct parallels because they can invent. Like I would do different political things than they would do. Blah blah blah. And obviously, I still think they're going to say there was a Romulan civil war. That's what destabilized the Empire, because they haven't got a proper motivation to even think those two planets were whatever. If the threat of Romulus caused a political, because I can imagine that when Romulus was said it was going to blow up, the military wanted to do one thing, the just on to another thing, and therefore an internal civil war, and then that wasted a lot of time. Yes, people got out, but the politics took like 6 months of bullshit, and then by that time, things went wrong. Blah blah blah.
also makes you wonder too what happened with the Remans if they decided to say, "Screw you, Romulans. We're not going to be your slaves anymore."
Oh yeah, actually, that way around. Yeah.
So, who knows what happened there? Maybe Sela took command of the
Scimitar yards.
and got a Reman army, and who knows? I mean, I think Sela is going to come in season 2, and I think we're going to learn a lot more about this kind of stuff then. So, but what happened?
Well, you know what's funny? That whole sentence you just said just makes me realize I don't care as much about the robot people.
Exactly.
I'm more interested now in the Romulan politics stuff. It's like, can we just skip past the robot season 1 arc? Can we get towards the Romulan political arc, please?
Yeah.
Sounds much more interesting. But it means that 7 can be very much entwined with that. That's useful. Also, I do want more Borg cube stuff, but that's funny how perspectives change. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
Carlos says, with the neutral zone gone, what agreements will exist when the neutral zone was an agreement itself? Logically, if the zone is dead, so follows all other agreements. Not necessarily.
They would just renegotiate there and then before they dismantled it.
Yeah,
I mean,
we'll agree to your Federation terms to take down the neutral zone, but you still can't have cloaks. Well, fine. I don't know. That's how it works. You got to barter back and forth. So
yeah, neither are in a position to be that ballsy, and the Federation aren't arrogant in the same way you would hope anyway. But guys, let's do final super chat. It's been a little bit light today, but we're still hitting the content either way. So if you can get on $20, that'd be great. The next few minutes, 4 5s or some generous 10 or 20 would be cool. Yeah.
Let's see. Burnham will come back in her angel suit, declare herself Romulan Emperor, and the galaxy will be saved.
Yeah. Sounds fair to me.
It doesn't sound fair. It just sounds like what they're going to give us.
Well, we know she has the time suit still working because she does go back forward in time and tell them she made it. So at some point she does fix the suit and can travel in time again. Because they wrote themselves into a hole there, and I bet they're going to completely forget about that and just never mention it.
Mm-hmm.
And say, oh no, at some point in the future she will. When? At some point in the future she will. But when?
Yeah.
In season 12. You know you're cancelled before season 4. Season 12.
See you later, Dan. Wow. Keith Schwerin puts in $50. Thank you. And
Wow.
says, love you guys. Well, thank you. We love you too. I don't recognize the name, but thank you. Thank you for that. That's awesome.
A silent lover of the show. Thank you so much. We hope you enjoy our lots of content on Picard, and we'll keep following us after the Picard content, because that, we started on ships. We'll always love the ships most. So please do stick around. We do TNG episode reviews, but also ship reviews, and we have other stuff. So if you please do stick around. Thank you. That's awesome. You made the live for us. So thank you.
Yes. And Fiddleheads throws in $2 with a super sticker that says "here" with an arrow pointing down. So, thank you.
That's okay, Keith. As long as you enjoy, that's the main thing. We don't expect money. We just kind of hope that people want to be part of the conversation.
Oh, Andrew says, Trekyards, I think you're supposed to reveal something now. LOL. Well, I said a $50 super chat. But he didn't ask about it in his comments, so...
That's nice that people care.
The answer's still maybe.
Yeah, well, yes. I mean, so you get a maybe, we will not blow up your system. So that is the reward that you get.
We have the power.
But a maybe is not a no.
Ooh.
Okay. Well,
there's a threat.
So I guess we'll see you guys tomorrow for an edited video.
Before that, though, Trout Bum Wombat says, anyone have a good pick of 7 of 9's phaser pistol? That leads right into what you were going to say, Samuel.
Tune in tomorrow at 5 p.m. for that video.
No, not earlier. That's an edited one, isn't it?
Well, 5 p.m. GMT.
Oh, never mind. He's not talking about the
releases.
real time zone. Just his.
No, seriously, we've got some cool pictures of that. We found some other things, so you'll see it then. And then live tonight, or tomorrow night, what are we going to look at, Stuart?
What are we doing tomorrow night? I'm trying to remember. We came up with a few ideas. Kind of a spoilery thing.
No. Well, is it? Nah.
That's why we decided this one tonight and the other one.
Yes.
What is it? Tell me.
You don't remember, do you?
I don't remember.
Is Star Trek getting too dark?
Oh. I mean, it would if I can turn the lights off. We should do that one with the lights off. Eugene, though, throws in 500 rubles. So thank you very much, Eugene.
Is Trekyards getting too dark?
Exactly. We should do that. I'll do that tomorrow, too.
Off too. So now I've only got one. There you go. Now I'm all... Oh, God. That's bad, isn't it?
No. It looks good. It's moody.
Well, yeah,
anyway, Eugene, 500 rubles. There you go.
That's awful.
The canon is, by definition, a thing accepted by the majority of peers. It correlates with official position of rights holder, but not equates. Example, Christopher Tolkien works are canon, but Sherlock Holmes continuations are not. Huh. Well, there you go. Interesting. Oh, are we JJing it up now or something?
No, it's just kind of... Make some moody... Wow, the colour balancing on my face is great. I should really get that looked at.
It's great.
Actually, I'm gonna turn this monitor off too. Let's see what the camera can do with no actual light in the room. So I can't see what this looks like. Wow, that is... How dark was it?
It's pitch black.
Okay.
You look better that way. Keep it. Trekyards Ghost Story, says Jorzia. Yes. The Haunting of Deck 12, as told by Trekyards.
See, there you go. Now I got four sets of bulbs on. Right. So see us tomorrow night for our live talk about It's Starting Too Dark, and the phaser episode during the day, which will be fun. That's quite a good one. And then Wednesday will obviously be another video, which I've forgotten what we filmed, but you'll see then, and our predictions as normal. As you guys know, Friday will be Thursday will be your first reaction. Friday will be our spoiler review edited, but I'm not going to be here for our review live because I've got work commitments for the weekend. But Monday will be our full review live, so I still have more time to digest it. We'll see how many videos can come out during the weekend, because I've got to make everything on Friday, which really sucks. But then, yeah, Monday we'll come back and we'll do the thing, and then I guess we'll have less to talk about, because it'll be the next episode sooner rather than later. So hopefully you guys will still tune in, because we like the lives a lot.
That's a lot of words. But before we go, Eugene says, that's not dark. If the Admiral suddenly slit Captain's throat, this would be dark.
It's true.
Don't give her any ideas.
That makes too much.
Yeah, it's too messy. Spray everywhere. You're going to clean that shit.
Yeah,
She has other ways to kill me. Poison, you know.
Yeah, I was being too literal, but we're also about the darkness. The darkness within the soul of Star Trek.
Yes.
Alright, guys. Have a great rest of the night. See you tomorrow.
And anticipate our darkness episode. Ooh.
Bye, guys.